What is good, everyone? Welcome to the channel. My name is Paul. I make videos about Japanese society, life, and culture from the viewpoint of a long-term foreign resident. I've been in Japan for 19 years now, and today I'm going to be talking about one of my biggest hobbies. It's something I haven't talked about on the channel before. If you watch, you know that I collect woodblock prints and that I used to play pachinko, but this big hobby I haven't really brought up, and that is running. I do a lot of running in Japan, and I've entered a lot of events in Japan for running. And today I'm going to talk about that for any of you who are interested in coming to Japan and doing a running event, or you're going to live here or are living here now and want to know more about running, you want to get into it, this is the video for you. And that's how I'm going to divide the video today. I'm going to start with the first part, talking about events, how to find events, how to enter events, what to expect for an event in Japan. And then the second part of the video, I'm going to talk about just running in general. So if you come here as a tourist and you want to go out on some runs while you're here, or if you live here and you want to start running, I'll be giving you some ideas and tips that you should know to get into running into Japan for safety and for convenience, etc. Now, I'm going to be overlaying some footage on this video today from my latest running event. I ran Shizuoka Marathon on March 10th. This is 2024. And it was a great event. I would highly recommend it. I might talk about it a little bit more in the video later, but please enjoy the footage of running next to Mount Fuji. It was a beautiful day. And let's get right into the topic, which is entering events like Shizuoka Marathon. Okay, the first thing you need to know about events in Japan is that almost all of them are referred to as marathons. You see, Japan has adopted the word marathon to just generally mean running event. So you'll have quote unquote marathons that are not an actual full marathon. So if you're looking at something and you think, oh, I can't do a full marathon, look into the details. Is it actually a full 42.19 kilometer run? Or it could actually be a half marathon, or even a 5 kilometer or a 10 kilometer. Marathon is just a catch-all phrase to mean running event in Japan. Second, how do you enter events? Most major events and even many small events in Japan have their own dedicated website, so you can find information. Of course, the larger the event, the more likely there is to be an English or other language website in addition to the Japanese version. So that could be an issue if you don't read Japanese, if you're trying to get into smaller events, but if you can get by with using an online translator or something, or you have a friend that can help you out, you can make your way that way. But of course, the major events like Tokyo Marathon, Osaka Marathon, bigger events, even the one I just did, Shizuoka, which did not have many foreign runners. I saw maybe 5 or 6 other people who didn't look Japanese. I know that's judging, but even Shizuoka Marathon had a web page in English with all the information there. So most web pages are getting much better about that. However, most of the events do not have an entry through their website. They will have a link to a website called runnet.jp. Now, runnet.jp is entirely in Japanese. There's no English on that website at all. And that's where things get tricky in terms of signing up for an event. Now, the larger events will have, I think they use JTB Travel, or runnet.jp will have a Kaigai or foreign entry link for anyone who's entering from abroad, and you can go there and then you'll usually have all the information in English. So you will be able to find an English entry site in some events, but not always. And that's an issue. Now, especially if you enter on runnet.jp, a lot of events these days send your information to an address, and if you don't have an address in Japan, that could be an issue. So if you're coming from abroad, you might be limited in terms of what events you will absolutely be able to enter. And another thing to note is that when you enter through one of the foreign entry English websites, it costs more. So for example, Shizuoka Marathon, which I just ran, cost 15,000 yen for me to enter as a domestic entry. And it didn't differentiate between whether I was a Japanese citizen or not, just that I was domestic. And it was 18,000 yen, or about $20 to $25, depending on the yen exchange. That's about $20 to $25 more as a foreign entry. I haven't entered as a foreign person, but I have a hunch that's just because they are sending your entry stuff to you abroad, and so postage is going to cost more to send it. Now, there's still events that have expos where you show up and you pick up your packet. In that case, I don't know why there's a foreign fee, because there usually still is. If you sign up on the English site, it's usually 1 to 5,000 yen more if you're signing up as a foreign person from abroad, even if there's an expo where you pick up your packets. But I guess it's just a foreign runner tax or something. I don't know what's going on there exactly. It doesn't seem fair. But if they're sending something to you abroad, to your address, then yeah, the extra money makes sense for postage. So basically there are those two types of events in Japan where you go to the expo the day before the event and pick up your runner bib and your chip and everything like that. And you'll need to have an ID with you then. If you're coming from abroad, that would mean a passport. If you're from in Japan, a driver's license or insurance card is usually enough. And the other type of race is like the one I just did, where they mail you your packet in the post. Just be aware that those price differences do exist, and don't be upset if you come across that, because that's just the way it is. In terms of the actual price for most marathons, it depends on how local or widespread the event is and what level of organization they are undergoing. You can find events for half marathons for as little as 3,000 yen and full marathons for 5,000 to 8,000 yen. It's possible to find very inexpensive runs like that. A lot of the larger races, like the one I did last weekend, will be 10 to 15 to even 20,000 yen depending on the event. And so that's $80 to $160 or so at the current exchange rate. Sometimes there are early bird specials that'll be laid out on the website or runnet.jp. And if you sign up early, you get a little bit of a discount. Events like Shizuoka will have expos the day before, even if you don't pick up a packet there. I went to the expo. Here's some footage of that. It's very nice. There was food, there was drink, there was entertainment. There were a few lotteries or raffles that you could enter. Some celebrities walking around who were invitees to the race, etc. Some expos will be better than others, but I think Japan is getting back into full swing post-coronavirus, so the expos are pretty much back to normal again. Of course, I will link runnet.jp down below. And if you're wondering about an English website where you can find lists of races or suggestions for events, Nanban Rengo is one that I used to use back when my Japanese wasn't very good and I was looking for events in English. So Nanban Rengo is a website, and they have a listing of events that are coming up that you can look at signing up for, and also event blogs, reviews essentially of events by people who run them. Other sources that you could find information about races in English, I just recommend Google and YouTube. And if you're looking for super specific areas of Japan, just narrow your search terms to look for that, or figure out how to look on the map function on runnet.jp, and then again use a translator to get English versions of that. So overall, Japanese events are very well organized, as you might expect. And finally, Japanese race event swag is pretty good. After Shizuoka, I got a medal, very nice, hefty, quality medal, a finisher's towel, and a participant t-shirt, which you see me wearing right here. So the swag you get at Japanese events, at least the larger ones, is pretty good. Again, if it's a super local event, then probably not much more than a certificate, but if you enter the bigger events, then yeah, you're going to get some pretty nice goodies. If there's anything I did not cover about running events in Japan, and I'm sure there is, please comment below and I will be happy to reply or even make another video if it ends up being something big that should be addressed. Okay, part 2 of the video is running in Japan in general. Now, running in Japan, there are some things that you need to watch out for. First of which, there are lots of narrow streets that don't have sidewalks, so you will be running in the road. And there's one thing that you really need to be careful of. Now, in my area, I don't have this issue because the infrastructure seems to be pretty well put together and it's not a big deal. But out in the countryside where the infrastructure might be a little more lackadaisical or older, you'll find that metal grates, especially on the street or even on the sidewalks, aren't always stable. I've had a couple of falls where I put my foot down on what looks like a solid metal grate and it came up or dipped or moved. And yeah, that could be very dangerous. I'm very distrustful of metal grates, especially on routes that I haven't run before. So if you're running in Japan, especially out in the countryside, don't necessarily trust all of the sewer grates or the grating that is, on a sidewalk or in the gutter of a street, because sometimes they are not stable. So be aware of that and just avoid them if you can. If you're in the big cities, stoplights are an issue, especially in Kanto, where people generally follow the lights. It's one of those culture shocks I get when I go out to Nagoya or Osaka. You get to a stoplight and the pedestrian light is red and there's no cars and the people look and then they cross. In Tokyo and Yokohama, everyone waits, following the rules. So if you are running in the Kanto area, Tokyo, Yokohama, you're going to stand out if you break the traffic light rules. So, I guess that's up to you if you're going to be willing to do that, but you're definitely going to be judged. And if you do stop, obviously in the city, you're going to be stopping a lot, and that's going to break up your runs, and that's just an unfortunate thing. However, if you're in Tokyo, you could run the Imperial Palace route, which is running around the Imperial Palace. It's a long, continuous route. It's super popular. You'll be amongst a lot of other runners, so it actually ends up being kind of social. You're joining a lot of other people on their morning or evening runs, etc. And yeah, that's a great place to jog if you have access there. If you're staying in Tokyo as a tourist and you brought your running shoes, then yeah, run around the Imperial Palace even counts as like one of those check boxes on the tourist list. Now, mentioning running at morning or in the evening, I gotta tell you, the weather in Japan in the winter can be absolutely lovely for running as long as you're not up in snow country. But if you're down south where I am, like Yokohama, we rarely get snow. It's always possible to run in the winter and it's really nice. Summers, pretty much no matter where you are, summers in Japan are hot and humid. And you're actually not going to do yourself any good to wake up super early or wait until super late in the evening to avoid the heat, because it never goes away. Where I live in Yokohama, it drops by like 2, maybe 3 degrees at night, and the humidity is constant. If you're not used to the heat and the humidity, please be very careful if you run here in the Japanese summer, because it's no joke. Luckily, Japan, famous for convenience stores and vending machines. If you're in any kind of urbanized area, you're going to always have access to vending machines and convenience stores where you're running. I always carry some spare change with me so that I can stop at a vending machine if I'm feeling really thirsty, I wasn't hydrated properly, and get a sport drink or water or something like that. And Japan's just super convenient that way. The final thing that really needs to be mentioned is running groups. There are so many lovely running groups. Everywhere I've lived in Japan, basically, there was a running group I could find and join. Sometimes it's as easy as just looking on Facebook, typing in running group and the area where you are, and something will pop up. You can join that group, find out when their events are happening, join in, and be able to go out running with other like-minded people. Running is a huge hobby in Japan. There are a lot of runners. You will not be alone. You should be able to find a group. And the events are really well attended and you'll meet a lot of fun, interesting people. I have to mention that the crowds that come out and watch Japanese events are absolutely wonderful because of this tradition and love of running in Japan. You have this most famous sporting event in Japan called the Ekiden, the Hakone Ekiden. It's been running for over 100 years. Basically, it's a relay run where these university teams run from Tokyo out to Hakone, up the mountain to that resort area in western Kanagawa prefecture, and they basically wear a sash that they run out and then they pass it on to the next runner, and they have several stages that they go through to get up to Hakone, and then on day 2 they run back to Tokyo, and it's televised. So many people watch it. It's a super famous event. So people that come out and watch these events are amazing. As you saw from the footage that I've been showing you, the crowds that came out to watch the Shizuoka were great, very encouraging. People in costume, people with cowbells. Basically, events in Japan are fun because the ordinary populace will turn out and cheer you on. So that's another cool thing about running in Japan, is that so many people are into it, and if you do enter events, you're going to have a great time because of the support. Okay, I hope this was informative. Again, if there's anything I didn't cover that you would like to know about, please mention it in the comments below. And I want to invite you to like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, if you want to know more about Japan. And I want to thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you so much. I hope it was informative, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.